Morning, guys. That's right. Local police say they're working around the clock trying to find more bodies because, unfortunately, as of last night, there were some people still unaccounted for. The attack happened yesterday morning at the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in Grand Blanc, Michigan. Hundreds of people were inside worshiping when police say the gunman rammed his car into the front doors. Authorities say he got out of the car and started shooting before officers arrived and exchanged fire with him, killing him. Police say the gunman deliberately set the church on fire. It was engulfed in flames for a couple of hours, and unfortunately, it is a total loss. In addition to the shooting and fire, Michigan State Police say authorities were handling reports of bomb threats in the area after the incident.
I can confirm at this time that the FBI is now leading the investigation and is investigating this as an act of targeted violence.
We received 911 calls about bomb threats or other indications that there was a bomb at a different location. Some of them were churches, and we responded and cleared those locations.
I'd also like to acknowledge the heroism of not only the first responders, but the people who were inside that church at the time. They were shielding the children who were also present within the church, moving them to safety. Just hundreds of people just practicing their faith.
Police have identified the suspect as 40-year-old Thomas Jacob Sanford from Burton, Michigan, about 10 minutes from Grand Blanc. Investigators are executing search warrants at his home. Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer says violence in a place of worship is unacceptable. She's ordered flags across the state to be lowered to half-staff to honor the victims.
Man, it is tough sometimes to try and grab the bad energy and turn it into good. That is what we are going to attempt to do on this program. Ladies and gentlemen, I can tell you there are very good things happening behind the scenes. And I am very sorry that we are late this morning. I apologize for that. Let me inform you as to what just happened. Something incredible. I got a call from an unlisted number this morning, and it was a household name Democrat. And it's this Democrat who's saying, I'm not going to reveal who for privacy's sake. This Democrat goes, yo, listen, like, hey, Ben, I've been following your work. I'm really, really, really sorry what happened to Charlie. And I want to help. I want to fix this. I want to fix the country. We can't be calling each other fascists. My side can't be calling everyone Hitler. Like, you can't, like that, like that's insane. This is wrong. And I'm sorry. That is the call I just got. My producer just heard the call. And this Democrat's like, you know, powerful Democrat is like, I don't want to live in a country where like everyone's at each other's throats and like there's so much pressure built up that people think that the only way to resort out of it is violence. So I want to work with you on that. And I was like, man, that's the power of God working right there. That is the phone call I just had. Now, hopefully you'll be able to see us working alongside of people, not to sing kumbaya, right? Not to link arms and say like, hey, everything's cool. You know, don't worry. We will forgive. We won't forget. Do you understand this? Like, do you know the difference? Like how that's okay as a Christian to forgive, but to never forget? Like how that's totally doctrinally Christian. Wisdom calls from the street. Do you heed her call? The Psalms would say. Yes, yes. We want to be wise, and we do not want to forget what has happened. But we do want to assist in turning the bad energy into good. And I don't want to live in a non-functional country. And when people feel like the only option is violence, then that's a non-functional country. That's a failed state. That's just going to descend into civil war, sectarian violence. That's going to be it's too big of a nation. That's going to be a non-functional country. That's just going to be another civil war. And we cannot have it that way. And this Democrat that was just on the phone with me, and again, forgive me for just like off the top of the dome talking about this. We have a stacked show for you. We have important things to talk about, but you got to understand why we're like a minute late today. I had to take this phone call and I was just like sort of blown away during the whole thing. This Democrat off the top was just like, it's my side. It's my side. Obviously, there are things that like the right's doing that we don't like, but it's my side. It's my side, like ratcheting up, calling everyone a fascist, calling everyone a Nazi, dehumanizing everyone to the point where people just grab guns. You know, the most mentally ill and disturbed people will just grab a gun and say, well, that, you know, time to go take out Hitler. And this Democrat's like, it's our problem. And we need to fix that. We need to disavow that. And like, I want to work with you, Benny, to like lower the temperature on all of that and have a functional country. And I'll tell you the end of the conversation. I said, we haven't changed. You know, our party hasn't changed. We still love our fellow Americans. I do. I know this audience does. I'll give you an example. A very important and famous lib left-winger that I think wrecked the country, that I don't like at all, and nobody in my audience likes at all. His name's Joe Biden. He was just given a death sentence. It just is what it is. In stage 5 metastasized cancer to the bone. And I didn't see no one on my side celebrating that. Nobody was dancing on Biden's grave. Nobody was sitting here like cheering and squeeing and doing a TikTok dance that Joe Biden has got a terrible terminal diagnosis of cancer. We sure as hell didn't do that. I know that on this program and that this audience just said, you know, we very much disagree with Joe Biden. We're gonna pray for him, and we're gonna hope that like his last, you know, whatever days God's had for him, you know, that they're full days, you know, and that just is what it is. And so that's the way that we approach this. And I'm talking to this Democrat. I say that, and you can hear it like click. They're like, yeah, jeez. I said, you can't find me a single Republican that was like behaving the way the left behaved when they killed Charlie. When one of theirs, a Trantifa activist, goes and kills Charlie. And like hundreds of thousands of them are squeeing and dancing on TikTok. Like, yo, that's like demonic, I said. Bring me back to the 90s. And I said, I remember the 90s. I was born in the 80s, but I remember the 90s. And it was like the 90s, they weren't perfect, but it felt like both parties, at the very least, like liked America and wanted America to succeed. And maybe it was like 80-20. Maybe it was like 70-30. But it was like 70% of the stuff we agreed upon. Like, you can go listen to the Bill Clinton. Hey, Alex, grab me that Elon Musk Bill Clinton speech. Sorry, I'm just going off the top of the dome. It's been a long weekend, and I've got a lot of thoughts on this. You know, in the 90s, there was a Democrat Party and a Republican Party that, like, were almost bros. And maybe that's a bad thing. I'm not sure. But I can tell you what, like, it sure felt different. Right now, it feels like there's an insurrectionist wing of the party that insurrectionist wing of the Democrat, radical wing of the Democrat, radical Marxist militant wing of the Democrat Party that actually wants to destroy America. I mean, like, it feels like they want to kill and violently revolt in a violent revolution against our nation. That's what it feels like. And it's and their actions are showing us that that's true, that that's actually what they want to do. Their actions are revealing that that's what's happening. Shooting up ICE agents, shooting up churches, shooting up Charlie. Like, their actions tell you what they're going to do. Actions maketh the man. So what are their actions? Their actions are saying, we want to kill you. Okay? We'll talk about the church burnings this weekend, the mass shootings this weekend. It's all very strange. But it does lock into the whole spiritual narrative that we've had, that this country does have a massive a spiritual battle. And we are actually fighting evil. We're not really fighting color. We're not really fighting clan. We're fighting like the banality of evil, and then evil has always existed. But this is what I told this prominent Democrat that just called me. And I said, like, back not too long ago, I'm old enough, I'm in my late 30s, but I'm old enough to remember the 90s. And it did feel like there was like both parties really agreed on a lot of stuff, and we disagreed on other things, and everyone argues health care and tax rates. Okay, fine. But at the very least, we agree English needs to be our language, closed borders, open immigration, not good, fentanyl, not good, communists, not good. Like, America agreed on those things, right? We had a very productive, booming 90s. We had a great decade. The 90s was a great decade for America. Many would argue that's Pax Americana. And I want to get back to that. No, I don't want to sing Kumbaya with Nancy Pelosi. No, I'm not going to say both sidesism. I'm like the number one guy fighting against that stuff. No, I'm not going to say like, oh, wow, pat me on the head, Jimmy Kimmel. I'm going to be your little lap doggy. Give me a treat. I'll make sure to attack Trump for Jimmy Kimmel. Those frauds. Man, I'll never forget that. Talk about grudges. But here's what I will say. Like, I do want the parties to lower the pressure. I do not want to call everyone Hitler or Nazi or fascist. I do want to live in a functional country where the majority of Americans like agree on good policies for our nation, good things happening for our country. Like that we can agree on like these common sense things. There's a man and then there's a woman, and they're different, and it's important to protect both of them and to protect all life, to protect our borders. And that communism's evil, that nihilism's evil, that we don't want to live in a collapsed society, that government spending is actually out of control, and we're dooming like our future by continuing an obscene, fraudulent welfare state that is parasitic and about to kill the host. Yes, we need to have those conversations, and yes, we need to agree on them. So anyway, the Democrat just said in conclusion, like, let's meet up in DC. I would love to like chat with you. Love to like talk. I would love to like find a way. You have a huge audience. Like everyone on our staff like follows you, and we obviously see where things are going. And we just want like there to be a functional country where we can like peacefully disagree on stuff, have good, robust debates, and lower the temperature to the point where we can like agree that America is the greatest country on earth and disagree on like the fun stuff and like have those debates. Because if you disagree on like the basics that like America should exist at all, then you can't have the debate. You can't unite over a lie. You can't unite with people who want to kill you. You can't make peace with evil. And so like that's where we are right now, and we mustn't do it, Christian soldier. But I'm encouraged. I'm encouraged by that. I hope you don't see it as cucked. I hope you don't see it as like somebody who's just gonna, I hope you don't see it as that. It never will be. I won't be. Okay. I hate those like lapdog Republicans, the Paul Ryan, like I hate it. However, I do want a functional country, and you can't have a functional country with a militant wing of Trantifa orcs trying to kill us all. So how do you solve that? Well, you get a bunch of Democrats on our side to say that we should defund them, put them all in jail, prosecute them. Boom, baby. That's like a good start. That's a good like material win, actually, for Charlie. And Charlie, man, some of the last things that he was doing, some of the last things Charlie Kirk was doing was going on Gavin Newsom's podcast, going on Bill Maher's podcast, walking right into the fire, right? And like finding these ways, these bridges of agreement, which he did. And so in that vein, we say, we'll keep working for it. So anyway, welcome back to the Benny Show. Today is Monday, September 29th, 2025. Latest attack against Christian church is a nightmare. Truly. And there's a lot of questions. It happened in Michigan. Dude drove his truck through a church, started shooting up. and then lit it all on fire. And I think there's been multiple fatalities, and we'll talk about it today. None of it makes any sense. It's all strange, but it all fits in a very crystal clear narrative of attacks on Christianity. We did give out 5,000 Charlie Kirk Freedom shirts at Penn State versus Oregon game. And, well, we won. We won a culture war. It was beautiful. We took the bad energy and turned it into good. That's what we do on this program. Ladies and gentlemen, Sean Davis, Nicole Shanahan, and Brad McGraw will join the program today. My name is Benny Johnson, and this is The Benny Show. Go gold in the golden era. Get ready. Feds are cutting rates. Apparently, they're going to have to cut rates 2 more times this fall. What does that mean? Well, ladies and gentlemen, it means that precious metals are going to explode higher. The easier and more liquid that money gets, the more non-functional that the dollar becomes. And it's not like I don't believe in it, but I'm just saying, like, the monetary policy of this country for the last 30 years has been really crippling to the value of the dollar. What does that mean? That means gold and silver is going to skyrocket, and that's what you're seeing right now, okay? The 2025 gold and silver report is here. Advantage Gold is giving away up to $10,000 in free silver when you make a qualifying purchase. Advantage Gold helps me procure my physical gold and silver, precious metals. You can also move your retirement funds into physical gold and silver. You can hold it in your hands. You can use your IRA, 401k, or TSP to do it legally and penalty-free. Text Benny to 85545 right now to claim your free 2025 gold and silver report. Find out how you can qualify today for up to $10,000 in silver bonuses. Text Benny to 85545 and claim $10,000 in free silver bonuses today. Okay. Well, let's start with the good, and then we'll go to the bad. And it just sucks that it is the way that it is. I'd like for it to just be all good, but that's not the world that we live in. We did an event this weekend. Now, I don't normally do these kind of things. I'm a fuddy-duddy. I'm a father of 4 little kids. I like being home with my family. I don't want to be on the road 300 days out of the year. But I knew that this was important, and we had to change the energy. I wanted to make sure, as like a homie of Charlie's, somebody who's very close to him, I never saw that guy get down, and I always saw him organize in order to make sure that the energy kept flowing in a positive direction. And so I wanted to do that this weekend. The biggest game in the country was Penn State versus Oregon. And so I announced that we were going to be giving away 5,000 Charlie Kirk Freedom t-shirts. Freaking cool shirt, okay? And it's a beautiful thing, and we were going to be registering voters, and we had a Turning Point tent. And my team, we're showing up, and I'm walking over to the tent, and my team didn't inform me that this was what was waiting for us. This line, this B-roll line, this line that is a B-roll right now on screen, this line is thousands of people deep. Thousands. It's like a mile long. I couldn't even walk the length of it because we had to go to a Fox hit. This line it stretched like the length of the Penn State tailgate parking lot, down, around the corner, and through. It's crazy. I want to show you the whole thing, but I can't because we literally run out of time. Look at this. It goes all the way down the parking lot there. It's crazy, man. The energy was insane and beautiful. And, we just stood there encouraging people, took 100,000 selfies, talked with everyone, shared their stories. A lot of people crying on my shoulder, a lot of people looking for encouragement. It was a great honor to be able to encourage. And I wanted to show people that not only is this movement not dead, but that when in the model of true doctrinal Christian martyrdom, that when you cut down the martyr's voice, you just make them stronger. And that's what it was. These shirts, we were out of them in 60 minutes. 5,000 shirts, 60 minutes, would have been probably more like 5 minutes. because of how quickly they went. If we had just had like a capacity to give everyone who wanted a shirt, boom, gone. The worst part about it is that we didn't have enough shirts. You know, we could have probably given away 50,000 shirts. There were people that were waiting in line for 16 hours. Check out this kid.
Pennsylvania, Penn State. We're here with Brett in Pennsylvania, Penn State. He's been here. How long have you been here waiting for a shirt?
Since 9 p.m.
9 p.m. last night?
Yeah.
9 p.m. last night. So Brett's been here for 16 hours waiting for a shirt. He slept here in the parking lot, and now he's got his Charlie shirt. What do you want to say to the people about that shirt?
All for Charlie, and just know that Jesus loves you, and that's what matters the most.
My man, Brett.
Isn't that like heartwarming? Check this out. And this is the stadium. There were Turning Point USA Freedom shirts all over the stadium. Now, as I have said a million times over, there was some fake news out there that's like the entire stadium was wearing a Turning Point shirt. That is obviously not true. I would love that. I would like to make that happen. I feel like we could make this happen, actually. I feel like we could fill a stadium with Turning Point shirts. I think we could do it. I'm going to try, right? Find the right location, and then we're going to give away 50,000 shirts and have the whole stadium wearing Charlie Kirk Freedom shirts. But what I'm saying here is that there were Freedom shirts throughout the stadium. People were wearing them all over the place. I saw them all over the place. And yes, you could like flip the camera around and just find a Charlie Kirk Freedom shirt in this whiteout. It's called a whiteout in Penn State because everyone's wearing white. And the white is typically the Penn State logo or a Penn State jersey, where white's one of their colors. But the point here is not that everyone was wearing a Charlie Kirk shirt. That's fake news. That's not true. We used the whiteout as an opportunity to put the Charlie Kirk Freedom shirt on display because everyone was going to be wearing white, right? So this was a massive success, man. We had UFC superstars there with us. We had senators there with us. Dave McCormick was there. Bo Nickel, he's a UFC fighter and a NCAA wrestling legend at Penn State. It was just great. The energy was just incredible. I just don't know. I thought, like, God just blessed the whole thing. We are humbled by God's grace. God just blessed the whole thing. It was, it's just wonderful. It was just amazing. It was the #1 sports trend in the world. Let me say it again. This was the #1 sports trend, not politics, not news. That's what we do all day. This was like breaking culture. This was the #1 sports story on X with 125,000 posts about it. How cool is that? It's just an honor to be a part of it. Turning Point students and activists did an amazing job. We registered hundreds, if not thousands, of new young voters. We're really proud of it. And yeah, man, we were able to go live from Fox, live on Fox from the actual tailgate. It's called the Turning Point Tailgate Series. And if you couldn't tell, I was excited. Here we go.
They know it right here at Penn State, Beaver Stadium behind us. Charlie Kirk was going to go to this game, watch his beloved Oregon Ducks play undefeated Penn State today because we are Penn State! And Penn State has shown up today. Look at these Charlie Kirk. Look at this. Kaylee, that energy is alive. It is electric here today. We're registering voters with the incredible voter registration teams here for Turning Point USA and early vote action. Scott Pressler with us. They're already signing up. New young voters in Charlie's honor. Charlie's spirit lives alive here in the kinetic energy of this moment. It's a spiritual moment, it's an awakening, and it's a revival here in America. Can you feel that? Ladies and gentlemen of Penn State, can I get an amen? Amen! Whew.
Chill out. Okay, calm down, Benny. Calm down. Okay, calm down. I'm just so excited. You can feel it. If you were there, you could feel it too. And it was really fun. Oregon went on to win the game, actually, the last second play, whatever. Number 31 made a critical play. Charlie Kirk, 31, when he was gunned down by a Trantifa left winger. And there's just a lot of There's a lot of spiritual energy out there, man. So we want to take it and turn it into something good. This is the model of the Christian doctrine. Oh my goodness, they killed our Lord and Savior, right? And Christ then goes and conquers death. Like, so depressing for the disciples. They're hiding, they're scared. Then the martyrdom of Stephen, the same thing. Christianity is just hiding and scared in the upper room. And then God takes that bad energy, turns it into good through the power of Christ. And so that's what we're doing, man. You know, it is amazing that it is only the Christian faith that is being attacked at scale in this country. It really makes you wonder. It truly does. It makes you wonder. We're going to get to that story in just a second. Hey, Alex, I see you have a bunch of photos here. Klein, you want to just swipe through here? I want to just show people. Here's us on the field. This is us with our freedom shirt on the field for Charlie. Amazing energy. That's the senator from Pennsylvania, again, on the field. Amazing energy. Beautiful, beautiful. Show me some of those shirts getting thrown out. Let's see it. Yeah, look at that. Great group. Just a crew. These are some of the organizers of the event. The boys are based. That's right. Frats were showing up. All these frats showing up. And like saying that they're Christ-pilled. It's like so cool, man. It's like just unbelievably cool. These young men. Look at this photo. This was like a whole frat. This is a Penn State frat that showed up. Look at these young men. Man, that's just awesome. Man, that's just awesome. Oh, great. Anyway, just absolute positive energy. We're just humbled by God's grace, how special that is. And we're waiting. We're gonna go do it again. Don't worry. We got you. We got stuff cooking. We're gonna make sure that we continue to win cultural battles for Charlie. And that's what Charlie was all about. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure that you are able to win battles against, well, your own finances. A lot of people, especially over the last couple of years, have been crippled by debt. It is brutal out there. The costs of living have become insane, and it happened quickly, right? After COVID, then the Biden spending era, inflation out of control, people get caught in credit card debt. Make sure that you're getting out of that, okay? That extremely high debt, 30% rates, man, that is like actual modern day slavery. Truly, that's like slavery. Make sure that you are not a slave to debt. Make sure that you are contacting American Financing today and right now. They can help you out faster than ever, actually, with dropping interest rates. They can use the equity in your home to help get rid of that expensive debt. Make sure that you free up cash flow and that you're locking in with your American dream. All right? American Financing. Call them today. 888-528-1219. That's 888-528-1219. AmericanFinancing.net/Benny. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I want to touch on this horrific problem that we're facing in this country very briefly. And then we have Sean Davis of the Federalist who can hop on in, and he's going to be joining us, and we're going to chat through like what's actually happening here with the Christian church. There's a Christian church that was attacked in Michigan. And I know that everyone's, I know that everyone's going to say, well, there is no trend here because the guy who shot up the Christian church, the guy who shot up his church, he's like an Iraq war veteran, right? And so, he's not a member of Trantifa or whatever. There is a trend. There's a monster trend that's happening, not just in this country, but worldwide. Let me elucidate it for you. This is very simple. There's only one religion that is being attacked at scale. Christianity is the most persecuted religion on earth. Once a month in America, on average, a Christian church is attacked. Now, if a mosque was being attacked once a month, being shot up violently, then this would be a massive crisis for Muslims. I mean, obviously, it'd be a national crisis, okay? I wouldn't like it. If synagogues were being shot up once a month, it'd be a crisis for the Jews. That there would be like a massive national conversation, absolute lockdown. Same thing with temples for Hindus. It'd be the exact same thing. there would be like this huge, like every member of Congress would be coming down to the floor. They'd pass this like giant amendment. There'd be like all the security protocols. If there was a Hindu temple or a Jewish synagogue or a Muslim mosque shot up one per month in America, sometimes like shot up, and then in this scenario, like what happened in Michigan, shot up, burned to the ground in what was like a clearly sophisticated, premeditated attack, then there would be a absolute national referendum, the full force and weight of the federal government. What I'm telling Christians is that it is happening right now to us. By the way, if this was happening to any other religion, I would be on board, like saying, let's please protect these places of worship. Everyone should be allowed to worship in peace. Okay? Live in peace. Debate on college campuses in peace. But the trend is this, that it is happening to Christian churches. And exclusively Christian churches. And it's not just happening here, it's happening worldwide. We need to add this attack in Michigan to the greater overall trend. Because the last time a Christian church was attacked in Minneapolis, attacked by someone who clearly hates God, hates Christianity, hates Jesus, the power of Christendom causes pain and screaming to evil. The advance of Christendom causes the chilling of evil. And so they must lash out at it. They must fight it. They must attack it. They must try and kill Christians. Because evil hates the advancement of Christ. When the bells of the church ring, the demons flee, ladies and gentlemen. And so that is why Christianity is the single most persecuted religion on earth, because it's real. Christianity is the most persecuted religion on earth. This is the end of the story. It's not even close. Christians are being hunted, terrorized, and slaughtered simply for their faith in Jesus Christ. The attacks are getting worse. Pardon me. It is past time for Christians to defend themselves, hardening places of worship, state and federal protections for targeted Christians, federal hate crimes designation for all attackers. And this was a hate crime, clearly. The data is clear. Here's just a short list of deadly attacks on Christians in just the past few years. In 2025, there's been 3,500 Christians killed for their faith, thousands of churches attacked, closed, or burned, millions of Christians displaced. 2024, over 4,000 Christians were killed for their faith, 7,000 churches were attacked or closed, and 200,000 Christians were displaced. In 2023, same or similar numbers. Thousands and thousands of churches attacked. This doesn't even come close. No other religion comes close to the type of persecution that Christians receive around the globe. In 2022, 5,000 Christians were killed for their faith. Over 5,000 churches were attacked and closed. Just in 2025, we've had the mass shooting at the Annunciation Catholic Church. We've had the Wayne, Michigan shooting. Sub-Saharan African churches have been all burned to the ground with millions displaced. In places like Syria, of course, there have been massive Christian targeting. And Gaza, an Israeli strike hit a Catholic church, killed 2 Christians. Continues and continues and continues. Democratic Republic of Congo, 70 Christians beheaded inside of a church by Islamist extremists. 7.7 million Christians displaced in South Sudan during the Civil War. And you just scroll through this. You just continue to scroll. I mean, it just goes on forever. We did a bunch of research on this post and put it together because it's time for us to get our narrative correct here. The narrative is that Christianity is the most persecuted religion on earth, and it's time for us to be smart. It's time for Christians to defend themselves, to harden their places of worship, to ensure that we, as like Christian soldiers, are putting on the full armor of God, but also putting on armor here of this physical world, because evil seeks to destroy us. So what do we know about, so now that is like the table's been set, now let's like look down at what happened yesterday. So Iraq war veteran Thomas Sanford, ID'd as gunman, who attacked the Grand Blanc Latter-day Saints church, killing 4 and setting it ablaze. The madman who killed at least 4 people and wounded 8 others in Michigan Latter-day Saints church, 40-year-old Iraq War veteran, served in the Marines. Thomas Jacob Sanford rammed his Chevy Silverado into the building, and then he opened fires on the worshipers, and then he set the church on fire. He had deer antlers attached to his bumper. You can see here the church on fire. You can also see the truck as it rammed into the side of the building. Authorities confirmed that Sanford, who lived nearby, is the lone suspect. The source of the blaze was not immediately known, but they did find improvised explosive devices on the church property. Bomb squad was also searching Sanford's house. There were hundreds of worshipers inside. Enormous black smoke poured from the structure. The church is a total loss. What the hell is this? There was also a Marine that did a mass shooting the night before. It's very strange, like exactly what is going on with these guys. I don't know, but it seems very strange. Like something about this doesn't seem like normal or natural, but it does lock into exactly what we've been saying for the past month. That's what we've been saying for here's the other Marine. 2 mass shootings involving a U.S. Marine, Iraq War veteran, occurred within 24 hours. Nigel Edge, the alleged gunman in the Southport, North Carolina shooting, took a few lives, and Thomas Matthew Stanford also took lives when he attacked Latter-day Saints Church shooting in Grand Blanc, Michigan, within 24 hours. 2 Iraq War veterans, same branch of the service, both go on deadly rampages. No explanation for these deadly rampages? Okay. Well, the White House knows more than me, so let's go, hop on over to Caroline Levitt real quick to find out what does the White House know about this attack.
His family is cooperating with the FBI, and so they are currently trying to dig in and get to the bottom of why he committed this heinous act of violence. It's unfathomable. And as the president rightfully put in his Truth Social yesterday, this appears to be yet another targeted attack on Christians. And the Trump administration is fully committed to not only investigating these crimes, but prosecuting them to the fullest extent of the law, but also working very hard to prevent them, to see if there's red flags. The FBI is going to treat those as public safety emergencies and investigate them to try to prevent such violence from taking place in our country.
You know, Caroline, we had the assassination of Charlie Kirk. We had the attempted assassination on ICE officers in my hometown of Dallas. And you just obviously just referred to the church. Did this suspect leave any indication that he was trying to target people of faith? More than the obvious of him doing it to a church on a Sunday.
Well, from what I understand, based on my conversations with the FBI director, all they know right now is this was an individual who hated people of the Mormon faith. And they are trying to understand more about this, how premeditated it was, how much planning went into it, whether he left a note. All of those questions have yet to be answered, but certainly will be answered by the FBI. I think the American people in your audience can be assured.
We'll see, ladies and gentlemen. New York Times here saying shooting in Michigan is the latest attack on religious institution, places of worship, and religious schools have been targets of a series of recent shootings across the country. Yes, but predominantly Christian churches. It's not the only persecuted religion. It is the single most persecuted religion in our country and in the entire world, period. Shootings in Michigan. This is like, what did it take for the New York Times to write an article like this? And then they go through. Look at these examples the New York Times cites. Catholic Church in Minnesota, Baptist Church in Kentucky, Bible School in Michigan, Christian Church in Wisconsin, Christian School in Tennessee. They say religion, but it's all Christian. Because Christ is king, because Christ is power, because Christianity is real. And that is why evil attacks it. You know what's weird is that there's this dude who's the most famous atheist in the world. His name's Bill Maher. It's a very powerful voice, very strong voice, very unique voice. Quite interesting to watch Bill Maher try and like navigate truth. And I think at the very least, Bill Maher has like good faith, has a good faith approach to this. Bill Maher is an atheist I think he's still an atheist as far as I know. But listen to Bill Maher straight up defending Christians and saying like, yo, look, why does the media straight up ignore the genocide against Christianity and Christians? Listen to this.
Nigeria, I mean, the fact that this issue has not gotten on people's radar.
Right, no one's talking about it.
It's pretty amazing. If you don't know what's going on in Nigeria, your media sources suck. You are in a bubble. And again, I'm not a Christian, but they are systematically killing the Christians in Nigeria. They've killed over 100,000 since 2009. They've burned 18,000 churches. This is so much more. These are their Islamists, Boko Haram. This is so much more of a genocide attempt than what is going on in Gaza. They are literally attempting to wipe out the Christian population of an entire country. Where are the kids protesting this?
Good for you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Wow.
No one will talk about it, so thank you.
Absolutely.
Wow. Well done, Bill. Just incredible. We are living through wild times. You were just seeing like the very little bits, like the first opening of God's wonders that we are about to see. New York Times sitting there covering like Christian genocide. Bill Maher covering Christian genocide. Axios writing this article about left-wing violence. In what universe would they have written this? It is inconceivable that Axios would write something like this. Again, we have Sean Davis of The Federalist who's joining us. I just wanted to lock in these last things because I want Sean to like sound off on this. Left-wing terrorism outpaces far-right attacks for the first time in 30 years. By the way, we know that the far-right data is obscenely skewed and fake, right? They include like prison attacks as far-right. Groups that we disavow, groups that the right totally disavow. The left does not disavow Antifa. The right disavows, like, you know, white nationalist factions of whatever, you know, violent whatever thing, you know, the FBI, most of it's just FBI agents anyway. But, I say that glibly. Study the Michigan Gretchen Whitmer Fednapping. Study it. The vast majority of the people colluding to kidnap Gretchen Whitmer were feds. The majority of the group were feds. There was like one guy that was like, what? And every other one of them was an FBI agent. So that's what I mean by that. Look at this. Domestic terrorism, left wing is outpacing right wing. Now, what's all this data? I don't exactly know. We're gonna have to like parse through the data. But just to get this headline and just to get this like finally to get like the narrative constructed correctly, in spite of how much they lie in their statistics, how much statisticians lie and are paid to lie, and the statisticians themselves are members of Antifa, that's a fact, and fund Antifa, these boards and these nonprofits are literally run by Antifa members. To skew, to lie in the data and say that, oh, it's only far-right violence. We don't believe you because we have eyeballs and functional brain stems. And like Axios is straight up out here, like straight up blackpilling the left. Domestic terrorist attack. The left-wing terrorism is outpacing right-wing terrorism for the first time in 30 years. Well, I'll take it. What a world, ladies and gentlemen. Now's the time. We have the energy. Time to go take it back. Time to take it back. Time to reset the nation for truth. Sean Davis, ladies and gentlemen, will be doing just that. He's joining us in just a moment. When we went to Penn State, we traveled with Patriot Mobile. Patriot Mobile was the cell phone of choice for this show a long time ago. And now they keep us locked in. We were able to publish and post in spite of the fact that there were 250,000 people around that stadium. We were able to get content up. It was not easy. Okay? Like most people had no service. We were locked in. Patriot Mobile, the only Christian conservative wireless provider. They are with us on the road. They're helping us like change the narrative and like keep the country secure and locked in. They're assisting our program and ensuring that we can have a functional backbone on the road. Unlimited data plans, mobile hotspots, international roaming, internet backup, and so much more. Switching is easy. Activate in minutes. Patriot Mobile today. Go to patriotmobile.com/Benny. Call 972-PATRIOT. Use the promo code Benny to get a free month of service. patriotmobile.com/Penny. Call 972-PATRIOT. All right, now somebody who's been way too patient and someone who I consider a friend. Very few people actually reached out with. Very few people have actually reached out in these last couple of weeks with something that with action, like assistance, something constructive, right? To like build back and fight the left and fight these radical domestic terrorists that are trying to like kill us all. Sean Davis is one of those people. He's the CEO and co-founder of the Federalist. He joins us live now. Sean, it's an honor to have you on the show. I'm sorry for the short delay here. What is it that you make of this consistent attacks on Christianity that happened in your home state of Tennessee? I mean, like atrociously, as much as they try and memory hole and cover up for the transgender mass shooting, the worst in American history, that are happening across the globe. When are Christians going to like get smart and recognize that we're under attack because we speak the truth?
Well, thank you for having me. And before we get into that, I just wanted to say thank you for your remarks at Charlie's funeral. I thought it was just beautifully done. You put the focus where it needed to be, which is on Christ, who's redeemed us, saves us from our sins, so that, you know, when we're all called home, we get to go see Charlie again.
Yes,
so
right.
thank you.
And
for
on the
doing
federal
that.
government, and on the federal government, who is their godly duty to strike terror and evil men. Like it is actually God has ordained them and called them to do that. So you must, like Republicans, I know you hate to act, but you must actually act here, right? Yeah. We government has a public duty to protect the people, to work for their well-being. They are there either as a blessing to the people or as a curse. I hope ours will be a blessing. But you asked at the beginning, why is this happening to Christians? And Jesus told us, you know, before he was crucified, if the world hates you, know that it hated me first. In this world, you will have troubles, but take heart. I have overcome the world. So it is not a news story in human history. Unfortunately, in America, it is a news story. And I think the killing of Charlie has ushered in the age of the American Christian martyr. And as a result, we all need to recognize the threat that we're under. And, you know, Christ calls us to follow him completely, but that doesn't mean we're supposed to be stupid. It doesn't mean we're supposed to be blasé or ignore obvious threats. He gives us a brain for a reason. He said, you know, go sell your cloak and buy a sword to his disciples. He expects us to defend ourselves. We're not just supposed to be sitting there waiting to be taken out. And so I think it is imperative to Christians, whether they are pastors or congregants in a church, maybe they're people with microphones like you or me, maybe they're missionaries. We all have to understand this new threat that we're under in this country, that unfortunately in recent history has rejected God. I hope that's changing. I hope we saw last Sunday the beginning of a new revival. But we need to get smart, and we need to understand that people are coming to kill us because of our faith. Yes. So what does that look like from a federal perspective? And you're always so good at like sort of parsing these things out and what's reasonable. But, you know, I sent this out yesterday. I just had a thought that if this was happening, if there was a mass casualty event at a mosque every month, or at a synagogue every month, or at a Hindu temple every month, that this would be, of course, like the single greatest national imperative to fix that trend. But it's happening at Christian churches every single month, and everybody seems to just like kind of sweep it under the rug. Why is that? And what can we do to fix that?
Yeah, I think there's a number of things we can do. And I don't think it just has to be the federal government. I mean, first thing we need to do is have state, local, and federal law enforcement crack down on these terrorist cells that are organizing this. I know the media loves to say, oh, this was just, it was a lone wolf. It was just a person acting by himself. You know, sometimes maybe it is. It's rare that it's only ever one person involved in this. Usually there's something going on. There is organization behind the scenes. There's financing behind the scenes. You look at some of these coordinated attacks. We know there was planning. We know there was organization. We know there was logistics. We know there was financing of it. So I think the best thing we can do is kind of what we did after 9/11. If you were involved in a terror cell, whether in the U.S. or overseas, if you were funding these, whether you were domestic or overseas, we came and found you and we crushed you. And I think the threat now is no less than it was on September 11th, 2001. There is a clear and present danger to Christians and people of faith in this country. And the first thing the government has to do, it has an obligation to do, is track down the people coordinating these, inciting them, financing them, bring them to justice, and remove them as threats.
Yes. What happened? What's the status update? I know that you were fighting so very closely with some of the good Republicans in Tennessee that still have a backbone to find out more about the horrific transgender shooting of a Christian school in your backyard, not too far, from not too far from so many like wonderful people that we know in Nashville. What's become of that? Why was there such an operation to cover that up? Like the truth of that?
Yeah, it's a really shameful thing that happened. That not only were a bunch of Christian children and teachers and staff murdered brutally for no reason other than they wanted to be at school teaching children to read and write and worship Christ. There was a concerted effort to cover up everything that happened there. It was a trans individual who, very openly wanted to go kill Christians. We know because she had a diary of it. And what happened with that diary? It was actually suppressed for years by people who didn't want this narrative getting out. And the narrative was the truth, that the transgender movement in this country is utterly, utterly violent. And we know why they're violent, because the first victim of someone who's transgender is not the person in a school that they go out and shoot. It's the person who they are. The first act of violence every transgender person commits is against themselves. It's against himself or herself. You can understand why they hate the world so much when they hate themselves. And to get a grip on this ideology, we have to be truthful about what it is. And that's a lie. It's a delusion. And the example that I usually give is, imagine someone who's bulimic. This is a person who believes he or she is, morbidly overweight. And so they go and they throw up all the time, trying to get skinnier and skinnier and skinnier. It's something that will eventually kill this person. You'll have, a 75-pound person who's dying go in and tell the doctor, I'm overweight. If the transgender ideology movement had the same book on this person who's bulimic, they would say, you know what, you are fat and you are disgusting, and we're going to help you get skinnier. And we don't care if it kills you, because we are here to cater to your delusions. If a doctor did that, they wouldn't just lose their license, they would be tried and convicted. And that's actually what we need to be doing with this evil transgender ideology and the people who push it. It is every bit as evil as telling someone who's bulimic, yeah, you're fat, you need to lose weight. We need to tell these people what reality is.
It's funny that you bring that up, because it does seem, some people are like, whoa, this attack in Michigan, there's no way to put them all together because this guy was an Iraq war veteran. And like, what does he have to do with, let's say, the Annunciation shooter who killed the Catholic school children that were praying? And if you zoom out, Sean, like what you'll see is that we're kind of like fighting evil, actually. Like it's like the colors sort of disappear and the frame kind of disappears, and you can just kind of see that like we're in the age-old battle against an evil that wishes to kill us, and it's a spiritual battle, in fact. And that's why I was so uplifted by what happened at Charlie's memorial, where like, I don't know, bro, like I've seen thousands of Donald Trump speeches. I've written Don Jr. speeches, okay? Like I know the way that Don Jr. thinks. I've never seen the two of those guys share their faith in Jesus Christ, like on a stage before. Never. And maybe we will never see it happen again. And I think what a profound blessing that Charlie has left us with, that was something that happened not at a private event, but at scale for hundreds of millions of people to watch. Because frankly, the answer here is spiritual, because the entities we're fighting are spiritual. They are denying God, as you said. They are denying truth and light. And there's only one way to really fight that.
Yeah, our battle's not with flesh and blood. It's with powers and principalities. And that funeral for Charlie was so amazing. I had a realization when we were in the middle of it, singing. When I found out that Charlie had been shot, My family and I were overseas. We were totally disconnected from everything. And I just got on my knees, not knowing, what had happened, whether he was going to live or die. And I begged God, I begged him, save Charlie, save his life that it might glorify you. And I had that realization in that moment. I think it was during the blessing, that song that they were singing. God answered my prayer. He said no. But he also said, I'm not going to use his life for glory. I'm going to use his death. And as a result of Charlie's life and his death, we were able to witness the single greatest proclamation of Jesus Christ in all of human history. Hundreds of millions of people were exposed to it. And you were in that room as well. You felt the power there. You felt the Holy Spirit. You knew something amazing was happening. And then it ended with every single major American leader, the most powerful people on earth, proclaiming the gospel of Jesus Christ. That is truly amazing. So they can go and burn our churches. They can shoot us. They can chop us up. They can never stop Jesus Christ. And I think that should give us great confidence and great power going forward. That most of us, we don't know how our end is going to come. It could come tomorrow. It could come 50 years from now in our sleep. But we all know where we're going. And it doesn't matter how many churches they burn in Canada. It doesn't matter how many Christians they massacre in Nigeria. It doesn't matter how many martyrs they make in America. We are going to win this fight. And all that's required of us is to persevere to the end.
I love that message, Sean. Life is for the living, and God calls for us to fight for truth and light. You do so at the Federalist. I want to give you an opportunity to maybe just sound off about going on offense. A clip that I think has gone perhaps the most viral since Charlie's death of any of the clips is something that was filmed sort of surreptitiously behind the scenes when Charlie was in Nebraska. I know we have it. Maybe we could, ALS, would you mind grabbing it and sending it into the production team? So we just pop it up as B-roll. It's Charlie talking about going on offense. And he was in Nebraska to try and muscle and bully the weakling Republicans in Nebraska into doing winner take all in Nebraska, which is, of course, something they should do. It is an obscenity that we hand an electoral vote to the Democrats every single year in Nebraska, of all places, with supermajority Republican supermajorities throughout the state. And Charlie's talking about, listen, you don't understand, these people are out to kill us. And they want a radical reformation of the United States. And you don't get that by conserving and sitting back and defending. You get that by going on offense and pushing and fighting back and taking things from them, in fact. And the Federalist does this. And in true form, man, Sean, you're one of the only people that truly actually fights. And this is what I don't think. I'm so glad that I'm so thankful that whoever published this clip, that this clip went out there, because this is the Charlie I knew, Sean, and it's the Charlie you knew. I know you did Charlie's show. I know you worked closely with him. The Charlie I knew was always no, we go 50 times harder, right? We don't sit back. If they hit us, we hit back. We keep going. Metaphorically, right? Non-violently. But we're going to win these battles, these culture war battles. Federalist is carrying on that torch. Can you talk a little bit about that spirit?
Yeah, we believe in winning by winning, not winning by losing. You win by winning. I'm so sick and tired.
I'm gonna put that on a t-shirt, Sean.
I'm so sick and tired of stupid old guard Republicans who don't care about winning. They only care about beating the spread. They care about moral victories, not actual victories. Okay, I believe we have a country to save. I believe we have a people to save. I want to win. I want to put points on the board. And my politics now is I want to crush the left. I want to crush them. I want them to not even be a memory. So I have no interest in getting along. I have no interest in compromise. The only thing I want to do is win. That is our goal. Politics is about winning. Okay, it's not about patting yourself on the back for being a really nice, good loser, so the left can go and crucify us and deny reality. No, I want to win. That's all I care about is winning. That's what every Republican should care about is winning. So we should do what is required within the bounds of law and morality to win. So yeah, let's stop trying to win by losing and just start winning by winning.
I love that answer, Sean. I'm like sitting there saying hallelujah. I'm like, hey, can I get an amen? Yes. Win by winning, not win by losing. It was such, it's, I don't want to, obviously there's a very evil Trantifa member who pulled the trigger and shot Charlie and killed him. Okay. But there was a sequence of events that led to that must be studied. And one of them, and I'm sorry, I have to ask a follow-up to what you just said. One of them was Paul Ryan in the aftermath of a bunch of Republicans getting bullets riddled through their bodies, including Republican leadership, in the congressional baseball shooting, something that I know you well remember, as do I. Paul Ryan, didn't take any steps to say, how is this man radicalized? His name's James T. Hodgkinson. I'm the only guy in media that still remembers this guy's name. Because I covered it and I went through his Facebook account. And his entire Facebook account was Rachel Maddow links, MSNBC articles. Every single time Trump was called Hitler, every time a Republican was called fascist. And this was in 2017. This was close to a decade ago. And Republican weaklings didn't use it as an opportunity to take this Bernie Sanders campaign worker and use him as an example of how dangerous the left had gotten. Republicans just linked arms with the people that were calling him Nazi and fascist and said and saying kumbaya and then let it continue and didn't do anything, right? And that's what I don't want to happen now, right? I need that. This must be a teachable moment for the right, that winning looks like winning and defeating a terrorist element that wants you dead. This is what them winning this is what the terrorists winning look like. We must win against the terrorists. Sean, your thoughts finally.
Yeah, I think Michael Malice is the one who said, they want us dead, but they'll settle for our submission. But they really, really do want us dead. And you may recall at the time how the FBI characterized what happened in that terrorist attack on the Republicans. They called it suicide by cop. That's how they categorized that guy's death, was suicide by cop, because that's what he did. He just went there because he wanted cops to kill him. It's not that he wanted to murder a bunch of people. And I've had this discussion with friends over the last couple of weeks saying, will Republicans wake up? And I said, probably not unless we force them to wake up. These are people who didn't do anything when they were nearly murdered. Okay. They didn't do anything when Rand Paul was nearly murdered in his yard by a deranged neighbor. Okay. So if they're not even really that protective of their own lives, they're certainly not going to care at all about yours or mine. So it's kind of like our job now. There's a reason that the people they're killing are the people with microphones, not election certificates. And I think it's because, sadly, so many of the ones with election certificates have proven themselves utterly useless and unwilling to do anything, and therefore not really even worth paying attention to. So it's our job to get these people to sack up and grow a spine, or to replace them, because they're clearly not interested at all in doing any of these things they need to do to protect their voters, their constituents, or their country.
Yes, you make such a great point. Yeah. Oh, it is such a great point. I really wish the Republican billionaire class, the left-wing billionaire class, is funding militant terrorists to kill those who are influential on the right. Now, maybe some of them are members of Congress, but a lot of them are like Charlie, who's a proper influencer. A lot of people claim to be an influencer. Charlie had true influence, right? He's truly red-pilling an entire generation successfully. So left-wing billionaires are straight up funding terrorism. That's plainly obvious when you follow the money. But right-wing billionaires are funding white papers at Heritage Foundation. Not a knock, okay? I like the people at Heritage. They've done some great work. But what I'm saying is they're funding right-wing billionaires don't understand what time it is. And that there'll be no more influence. That's not something that can easily be built up, or typed away by some guy who, went to the Ivy Leagues in some ivory tower somewhere in DC. This is a real war, actually. On people with influence on the right. And there's just not that much, frankly, because it's really hard to build and it's really dangerous. And so I'd love for right-wing billionaires to understand what time it is, And I don't know exactly what that looks like, but they, there has to be an awakening here with the entire Republican superstructure to get this right. Now needs to be the wake-up time.
Yeah, the left has always understood they're playing the long game. The right plays the short game. The right has tended to focus on winning elections, which is you obviously have to win elections. You can't implement stuff if you're not in charge, so you need to win elections. But the right has almost been exclusively focused on it, while the left has been focused on what they call the long march through the institutions. It's been a 100-year plan. They want to control every major institution and then bend the country to its will. Just look at the transgender movement, for example. It's like 0.1% of the public, and yet they are getting every corporation to post the trans flag, to use pronouns, to go after people who say obvious things like boys can't become girls and girls can't become boys. The left actually understands true power, and the right is just beginning to understand it. So if you're a right-wing billionaire or millionaire out there and you want to know how to fix this country and how to actually fight back, you have to invest in long-term infrastructure. It means investing in media. It means investing in education. It means investing in culture. These are the ways that the left has taken over the country, despite the fact of the majority of the country disagreeing with their ideas. A firmly committed and well-organized minority can do amazing things. Imagine what a truly committed, well-funded, overwhelming majority can do, which is what we are in this country. So hopefully that is beginning to change on our side. And the people who donate to politics and are invested in it now understand you can't just throw money at a candidate every 2 years. You can't just get involved in even years. You have to be building the infrastructure decade after decade after decade.
Yes. You sure are doing that at the Federalist. Sean Davis, ladies and gentlemen, make sure that you're following those who are actually truly fighting for you. Sean understands the fight better than most. He's got 750,000 subscribers here on X, and you must be one of them. And we're going to be doing a lot of good work with Sean in the future. We just love his energy and the fact that the Federalist does actually, in fact, fight these culture wars. So Godspeed, sir.
Thank you, Benny.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have had some very long nights, and we have gotten in very late. Sometimes we've gotten in right around sunrise. So my sleep is precious to me. And the mattress that I come home to is very precious to me as well. This is something that ensures that I can have like quality time with my family, something that ensures that I can have like a good night's sleep so I can like come in and hit it and have the energy to do the show. This is obviously when you have little kids, like sort of like a gathering place, like on Saturday mornings, right? The kids come and jump into bed, right? And everything. After they wake up, Helix Sleep is the company that I trust, not just with my sleep, with my kids' sleep. Our little girls are 3 and 5, just turned. So now it's time to not time for big girl beds, right? No more cribs, big girl beds. And we use the Helix Sleep, a children's bed. And they say, it is a nightmare when your kids aren't sleeping well. They like clock out. Part of it's running around, getting good sunshine, good diet and everything, and like really living like a kid, but then also making sure that you can crash and you can be comfortable. So Helix Sleep, not just for me, but for my children. I sleep kind of hot, I run hot, as you all know. And so like making sure that there's a cool and comfortable, breathable mattress that really like locks in to the way that I like to sleep and the best way for me to actually like recharge. Dude, it's Helix for me. Go to helixsleep.com/Benny for 25% off site-wide. helixsleep.com/Benny, 25% off site-wide. As you well know, ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to sleep and when it comes to my health, my wife, Nurse Kate, has it on lock. Literally everything is like centrally managed for being optimal. So if Nurse Kate approves, it is a dang good mattress. Make sure that you enter our show name at checkout so they know we sent you. helixsleep.com/Benny. Ladies and gentlemen. I'm really honored to bring on our next guest, somebody that I've known for a long time, but first time on the show. His name is Brad McGraw. You might not know him, but you do know him. See, that's what's crazy. You have seen Brad's work ALX, I'm not sure if we have it in the B-roll, but you got to get me some of the Brad's work. You can get just like my walkout or whatever. Just grab my walkout from any Turning Point event. Brad runs this incredible production company. It's called Mosaic. And they do events. And they do events for a lot of people, but for Turning Point, actually, they've been working for like years. They've been working with Turning Point to make these just remarkable moments happen. Some of these moments are like, for instance, the RFK Jr. Donald Trump walking on stage with the fireworks and the sparklers and everything. I mean, it's just wild what they've been able to pull off. And it's iconic, actually. That photo, hey, Alex, can you grab me that photo? That photo of like Trump and RFK Jr. with all the fire behind him. Oh, it's so cool. I've been doing events with Mosaic, and it's just, there's just no one like him. And Brad is the CEO and executive producer. Brad's on the show today because he has like some passionate and beautiful stories to tell about what happened, the behind the scenes, the true behind the scenes of the miracle of the Charlie Kirk Memorial. Something that sets like just a kind of a beautiful tone. There it is right there. Now look at that. Come on, we've all seen that photo. Wouldn't it have gone differently? This photo goes so hard. It goes so differently if this was inside of a conference center. Yo, this photo, if this photo was at like a convention center with fluorescently lit, kind of like lame corporate lighting, it would be totally different. This photo goes hard because of Mosaic, because of like the passion that Mosaic has in partnership with Turning Point to deliver iconic moments, powerful moments. God gave us eyes and ears, the capacity to be stimulated by the world around us, by the incredible creations around us, man-made and God-made. And all of it's God made. But I gotta tell you, like it's like what happened this weekend with the Charlie Kirk Memorial was truly an act of God. And to give us the behind the scenes now, joining us live is Brad McGraw, CEO and executive producer of Mosaic. Brad, what's up, man? It's a honor to have you.
Man. Such an honor to be here.
Forgive the long introduction, but I just wanted to tell everyone what a legend you are behind the scenes, because you are one of those guys who like make sure that the magic is happening. But this was something that was so profound. I wanted you on the show because it's something that we all witnessed, and it's a behind the scenes story that has to be heard. So why not just like start off by explaining like what happened at this Charlie Kirk Memorial that seemed to be almost like supernatural?
I mean, the whole thing realistically was supernatural. I mean, if you're in my industry, to get a stadium event planned with about 7 months in advance would be pretty wild. I got the call with 7 days advance for this one, obviously based off the tragedy that happened. We had a big memorial planned. So we were working on 2 or 3 days. We were going to go into the arena next door, that's where the RFK event was. That was at the arena next door. So we kind of had a plan on what we're going to do in that arena. Turning Point USA called and said, hey, this is getting bigger than we even thought it would be. Obviously, White House is involved. You name it, they're involved. We want to move it to Cardinal Stadium. And if you're in my industry, going from an arena is already heavy. Going from an arena to a stadium is like, holy moly, here we go. But let's just buckle in and get it going. And man, I think from that moment, you could just see I've had so many conversations about this, not only conversations of people that have talked about how this day just changed their life and they've rededicated themselves to Jesus, and which is just outstanding. But then so many conversations about what it went into it, how we could possibly do that in 7 days, how we could get the crew together. I mean, there's no way to do this realistically. And as a firm believer in Christ, there's no way to do this without God interceding, walking alongside me and making all these things happen that even I couldn't. I mean, I'm good at what I do, but there's no way some of this stuff would have happened without God interceding, for sure.
Can you talk about that stage? I mean, just to get kind of into like how impressive this is. And these are these stages are like the kind of stages that they use for the biggest musical acts the biggest celebrity acts in the world.
100%. Yeah, I mean, we brought in the same stage that you would see at a Taylor Swift concert in a stadium, Metallica, Chris Brown, all these secular artists that would have come into the same stadium. We brought in the exact same staging company who happened to have their calendar completely open that day. All of our crew, if their calendars weren't open, they made them open. I got calls, emails, texts from production company owners who I did know, and calls and texts from production company owners across the country who I didn't know. They just knew I worked for Turning Point, who assumed that I was going to produce this event. And everybody jumped in. They offered free gear. They offered free labor. I mean, it was such a community outreach and input that everybody just kind of said, all right, this is it. We're going to all come together. Differences aside, if we're competition up until this point and we're after this point, we're not this week. We're going to offer Brad anything and everything he needs to make this happen. Like I said, and with that, man, it was monumental. I've never been more honored to produce an event. Obviously, it's not the event I wanted to produce in my career at this moment. Yes. But what an opportunity and privilege was to honor not only Charlie, but to spread the gospel to now what everybody's saying, to 100 million people that day. Like, what an amazing opportunity and honor that I had to be a part of that, for sure.
Yeah, you were part of history. You produced the single largest apostolic event in human history.
Which is amazing. So when I started Mosaic 10 years ago. I came out of full-time ministry. So I was in full-time ministry for 8 years. And what's wild is you can watch.
I didn't know that. That's amazing.
Yeah. But you can watch the moments that God has kind of put in line. So as of that moment, there's only one other non-secular concert event that's been held in Cardinal Stadium. That was 10 years ago. CCV, the church that I worked for here in Arizona, third largest church in America, we went into Cardinal Stadium. We had 10 campuses. We went into Cardinal Stadium to get all those campuses together and brought in 55,000 people to produce an Easter service on Easter morning in 2016. So from 2016 to now, there's always been concerts like a Taylor Swift and Metallica, all that, but there's never been a special event outside of concerts that have brought together that many people at that many times for a service. So when I look back, when I'm looking at these puzzle pieces that went together to make this happen, like God set me up 10 years ago to make this moment happen. Even the crew that was at the stadium, my main contact at the stadium, his name is Shashank. Amazing guy. Shout out to Shashank. The exact same dude that was there 10 years ago who I worked with and formed a friendship with. When I called to set up the site visit for this one, Shashank is the guy who answered the phone and said, Brett, we've done this before. Let's do it again. And we'll work as hard as we can to make your vision come true. So yeah, when I look at everything that happened, like way past my expertise, my experience of 26 years, like it was clearly God divine from the moment we started till the moment we ended.
Yes. And it was reflected obviously to the world in the largest apostolic event in human history, but also a wonderful opportunity to demonstrate the differences between the moral worldviews of the two sides, because what you have on one side is when you have like 2 or 3 nihilistic, radicalized rioters together, you could burn down like an entire Washika, Wisconsin. Yeah. But you have 300,000, according to the data, cell phone track, 300,000 presumably center-right people that are there to mourn Charlie Kirk. And I don't even know of an instance of jaywalking. I don't know anybody who like spat gum on the sidewalk.
I just shared this with my team yesterday. Everybody that was on that event with us, one of our audio guys is best friends with a SWAT lead here in Phoenix. And he said SWAT was 100% told that morning to expect something tragic to happen. Like they were informed in their briefing that morning, something's going to happen. We're ready for it. We need to be prepared for it. One of my employees has a bomb squad girlfriend that works in bomb squad here in Phoenix. Same thing, 100% be prepared. Something's going to happen. Not one single arrest of those 300,000 people. Incredible. Between Glendale, Phoenix, Peoria, Avondale, which is all the surrounding cities. Not one single restaurant. They said it was unheard of for an event 10% smaller than this. Like where they have arrests for tailgating games outside of the Cardinals. Like, so to get 300,000 people and all these people that were briefed 100% something was going to happen and have zero is absolutely unheard of.
Brad, bro, I was at a college football game this weekend.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And that's a lot of people, you know, the numbers are like, there's 100,000 people there.
Yeah.
You're dealing with 3 times that, right?
Yeah.
According to the data, but still it's a significant amount of people. So there's 100,000 people in that stadium. I am telling you, my man, that I couldn't go like 20 feet without watching an arrest. Okay. Just some drunk, belligerent douchebag, right? Who's just like fighting with his girlfriend or like, you know, shoving, you know, throwing fists.
Yeah.
There were like arrests everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay. There were arrests everywhere. And this is a much smaller group of people that were there for a football game, right? They weren't there to mourn anything. They weren't there with some grievance. Like we were all there with there's grievance, there's like bitterness, there's righteous indignation,
of course,
for all this. But then there's like there was nothing. I was there all day, nothing, not a single. So you're telling me officially not a single arrest?
Officially not a single arrest, according to his SWAT team lead that he texted him yesterday that he sent to us. Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Like, yeah, you can't make that up. That's all God.
So just if you wouldn't mind, just really quickly, rewind your career with Charlie Kirk.
Yep.
And talk to me about why did Charlie make his events so epic?
Man, I mean, that's obviously what I loved about him because he allowed me to be me. He allowed everybody to be their best around him. And I think that's what started. We started with them in 2018. Producing their events. We took over from another event production company. And my thing is like, just, you know, I love to do what the client's vision is. But then, like I said, I've been doing it for 26 years. So I love to work for clients that allow me to be my very best. And if you know Charlie, obviously you knew Charlie, like he wanted you to be your very best. He wanted you to bring your very best. I demanded that of all my crew. And it just snowball effect. I mean, from 2018 to where they were now, you could kind of see the repercussions of how the events just continue to get bigger and bigger and bigger. It's because Charlie always wanted to be bigger and better. I always wanted to be bigger and better. The fact that we could partner and just be like, hey, let's see what's next. Let's not have any limitations on where we're going, why we're doing it. Like, let's just make this the biggest possible thing we can be a part of. And yeah, the AmFest, I mean, obviously that was the biggest event up until these moments, but AmFest is coming back in December, which is always just an amazing thing to be a part of. Obviously you've been a part of all of them. So yeah, that's just Charlie, man. When he expects the best, he also allows you to be your best. And which is what I love to do. Like if I can work for a client that not only expects my best, but allows me to be my best, the sky's the limit, in my opinion.
That's beautiful. And it became iconic.
Yeah.
You know, we talked about RFK. We talked about how like that photo would be very different
right?
in a conference center. Yeah. If the GOP, if establishment GOP had produced that, oh, you better bet there'd be like fluorescent lighting, you know, and it'd be
that spark waterfall that's behind him. So I got word we were doing that event. That was the closest one up to this one. That was about 7 days also to go in that arena. I got alerted 24 hours before the actual event started. RFK is going to hit the stage. This is official. It's just between us and you. We don't want anybody to know. And I called my whole production team. I was like, guys, this is way bigger than us. This is going to be an iconic moment. Like, I need to add some elements. And this is like at midnight, the night before showtime. I was like, I need to add something. What can I add? So I just racking my brain. I was like, let's just do Sparks or Charlie's thing. Let's just do spark waterfall from behind him and see what happens. And obviously, yeah, that picture will be in history books for as long as we live, for sure.
Nicole Shanahan, who ran as the vice presidential candidate for with RFK, is actually on the stream right after you, and so we look forward to. I know she's listening right now, so it's fun to talk through. It's like an incredible thing that we've all been a part of. So that's one question about the past, Brad. I want to close with a question about the future, bro.
Yeah, of course.
I want to do it again. And I know it means something different for me, who gets to just like go on stage and let it rip, you know, and you know, hype and stuff on social media. It means a lot of work for you.
Yeah.
But we proposed something last week, you know, I was co-hosting Charlie's show the day after this event.
Yep.
And I started the show off the top of the dome by like, that was spiritual. Everyone feels like they needed that. And what it really was, what that event really was a non-contrived opportunity for our leaders to describe their faith and their connection
And they all do.
to what they believe spiritually, right? And I feel like that's so important in this country, and it's utterly been banished from the public space.
Right.
And sometimes maybe it's inappropriate, right? Like if the president's doing a big thing about fentanyl, drug dealing, like that's probably not the place, honestly, to like describe in depth your faith. It's like everyone there are a bunch of different events for a bunch of different purposes. Okay, good, fine. There's plenty of threats to our nation and plenty of important things to talk about. However, since we are fighting a spiritual battle, why not do that every year in Charlie's honor? It's what Charlie has said time and time again. I asked my team to go find every time that Charlie talked about death and legacy. And to a man, like every time that guy was asked, every time he was asked, he was your friend and mine, he kept saying, I want to be remembered for my faith. I want to be remembered for courage for my faith. I want to be remembered for advancing the kingdom of Christ. And it's like he constantly would message that. Yeah. And so like, what a wonderful way to remember him. And by doing something like this every single year, what say you?
I'm all in, man. Yeah. I think I posted on social media, if I could go down as the executive producer for one of the biggest gospel movements in our lifetime, I could walk away tomorrow. My mission's complete, but I'm just getting started. And I think God's kind of brought me to this moment. Like I said, 10 years ago, my time in ministry, my time in this world, and my time in this industry, I'm very open and honest about my faith, which I've got a lot of questions. Like, aren't you afraid that you being so open and honest about your faith is going to lose clients? Like, honestly, just between you and I don't care. Like, if I lose clients because of my faith, I guarantee God will open a door that I didn't even know existed. So yeah, I'm all in. If it's about preaching the gospel to more, man, that's my heart. That's my passion. I love working with Turning Point because they're not afraid to speak the gospel, and you hear Jesus' name from the stage as many times as possible. And that's my passion. That's my mission. And if I can continue to do that, then you name it, I'll do it for 3 days notice. Like you give me the time and frame, I'll do it.
What I'm saying here is like, we could actually plan it.
Hey, that would be.
And what if we had what if we had a year's notice, right? Like we do with America Fest.
Yeah.
And how epic could we get it if we had,
we're talking about not planning. You look at the worship leaders that we got. I've seen it multiple times, the Avengers of worship leading. Like those 5 people are not on tour. They were not committed to a church on a Sunday morning. We called them. They all said yes. They all showed up. And then you look at the other moments. So I've gotten the conspiracy theories. Like there's no way this is all possible. No way it was all rehearsed. Like those moments with the banners raising, the moments with the push in on the banner of Charlie, like these really spiritual moments that happened that day. From me, who nobody does anything unless I say go. None of it was planned. None of it was rehearsed. None of it was contrived. It was all the Holy Spirit moving in the time and the place and through the right people in those moments. So if we can grab a hold of that and just let God do our thing, man, I'm all in.
And I'm telling you guys, I was backstage for a considerable amount of the day. Never at a Turning Point event does this happen. But no one was telling the speakers what to say. First off, wander over to Donald Trump and try and tell him what to say. Yeah, try it. Like, not going to work. But to Brad's point about coordination, these are the most powerful people walking the planet, and every single one of them, without being pushed or asked to, shared boldly about their faith. J.D. Vance put it very nicely, saying, I've shared my faith in Christ more in the last 2 weeks than I have in my entire political life.
Love that.
It's like it would be nice, Brad, to like work with you, and let's capture that, and let's do it again, and do it again with purpose for Charlie.
100%. I'm all in. You know that. Anything you're a part of, I'm a part of.
My man. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you can follow Brad at Mosaic right here. This is the Mosaic Instagram account. It's got thousands of followers, and you should be one of them. You can see some of the incredible behind the scenes. I don't know, Klein, can we scroll here? Yeah, it's beautiful. You can see some of the like incredible behind the scenes of all of these events. Brad talking through what they're doing, and you can go ahead and make sure that you're following along with the people that make these events feel like they're spiritual, because they are. Right?
They are.
Yeah. Brad, it's our honor to fight with you, my man, and we'll see you on the road, buddy.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you that, We're just pulling a lot of all-nighters. We're expending a lot of energy. We're making sure that we are keeping the energy up and fighting. Our next guest, Nicole Shanahan, is somebody who absolutely does that. And she's fighting in a place called California, which is a tough one. And I actually I got to say, sometimes it's easy in Florida, right? Because the culture's on my side. But what about Nicole Shanahan? Culture's not on her side, but she continues to fight. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Ladies and gentlemen, she joins us in just a moment. 120 Life helps power the energy for me to ensure that not only am I regulating with something that is all natural, blend of beautiful 5 delicious all natural ingredients that help control my blood pressure. And that's what this drink's all about. Now, do I get the drink? No, because my kids guzzle them down because they're delicious and they love them. But do I need it? Yes, I do. High blood pressure is a killer. It's something that hurts, over 50% of the country, myself included. I have a history of heart conditions in my family. Most families do. And that's why I use 120 Life. It's been endorsed by hundreds, in fact, 750 medical professionals, including my wife, who is the one that I listen to the very closest, Nurse Kate. It provides measurable results, changes in blood pressure, and makes sure that you can, keep on ticking, actually. Again, it is a delicious blend of great tasting superfruit juices, and it's something easy to incorporate into your daily routine, as I do. 120 Life, ladies and gentlemen. For a limited time, try 120 Life and save 20% off. Use the code Benny at checkout for 120life.com. 120 Life offers a risk-free trial and a full refund if you don't see lower numbers in 2 weeks. Go to 120life.com and use the code Benny and save 20%. 120life.com. Use the code Benny and save 20%. All right, ladies and gentlemen. We're very excited to welcome Nicole Shanahan. You, of course, know her. She's the former running mate of RFK Jr. She's coming back on the program. It's our honor to have her. And she's the host of the Back to the People podcast. Let's go. Nicole, it's an honor to have you back. Forgive us for being late in getting to you today. I have a story to share with you, if you don't mind.
Sure.
The reason we were late to the stream this morning is I got a call from a well-known Democrat. And this well-known Democrat's like, hey, I can't believe we're even having a conversation here, but listen, I want to lower the temperature. Yeah. And I'm sick of my side calling everyone Nazi and fascist. And I'm sorry that happened. And I'm sorry what happened to your friend. And I want to work with you to just have a country where we can agree on most things and disagree on some things and have a nice robust debate. But I'm going to fight with you to ensure that the dehumanization that's happening on the left of the right, that ceases. He actually called this Democrat called out Gavin Newsom of all people, calling Stephen Miller a fascist this morning or yesterday. And I was like, man, well, that is a incredibly uplifting thing that has happened. And sort of in the vein of what Nicole and RFK Jr. and Tulsi have been doing, actually. It's trying to reduce the pressure cooker here. So
yeah.
Anyway.
Well, I'm happy to hear that. I just have to say thanks to Brad McCraw. I'm just going to go back a little bit because I thought that was Susie Wiles orchestrating that moment with President Trump. And since Charlie passed, I've realized it's really Charlie and his team that have orchestrated all of this, connected with people and doing the things and probably even, influencing that call from this Democrat leader that wants to tone things down. Charlie is so alive in this moment right now and has unveiled so much about the last year and a half of my life that I didn't even know about.
Yes. You were the first one, if I'm remembering correctly, you were the first one who went out on a podcast and said, actually, it might be the time to do this. It's live on screen right now. Again, it's Things of Legend.
Yeah.
And, maybe perhaps you could tell me from your perspective, since you were RFK Jr.'s running mate, how did this all come down?
So that was not planned. I didn't get an official sign off from the campaign to go out and have that conversation. I did talk to Bobby in advance and say, hey, I'm going to try to provide some cover and start to subtly notify people this might be coming down the pike. I did not expect that podcast I did to go as viral as it did. It went really viral. It went really viral. And I got a little bit of flack for it from the powers within the campaign. But in the end, I think it was the right thing to do because it notified groups like Charlie what was coming and that we were coming. And it was a whole movement of people that was coming towards the movement Charlie had so beautifully built. And so in the end, it all worked out, and none of this was scripted. None of this was planned. And there were definitely high moments of tension and friction going into it, tons of unknowns, so much fear that, of potentially getting this wrong. And now I realize Brad was in the background with Charlie, making sure this was going to go great. It was going to be a magnanimous history-making moment. And when I threw out those things, I mean, it really just was off the cuff. And it worked out. Thank God for that. Thank Charlie. Thank this movement. Thank all of the Maha supporters for having faith. Thanks for MAGA for welcoming us in. And, thank you so much to Charlie's Life and Legacy and Erica Kirk for this moment as well. Her strength is carrying all of us forward.
Can you please talk about President Trump, who, in noting the political successes of Charlie Kirk, which are many, but Trump only seized really one. Trump, he could have gone down a list of all the things Charlie did, but instead he's like, you ever heard of Maha? Like Charlie Kirk put me and RFK Jr. together, and Trump saw that as the sort of iconoclast moment of Charlie, and it's really neat because you were central to that. It's really very cool.
There was so much faith that went into each of these moments. And what President Trump did last week in his announcement for autism is what all of the Maha moms have been waiting for, is that boldness and courage of truth, which really is a cultural thing, I'm realizing. And you opened by saying you're stuck in California where the culture is so backwards. And it is very backwards here because it's a culture of fear, compliance, and just go along to get along. And we can't continue to live like that because we are suffering. Our children are suffering because of that culture. And I'm going to say something that's very unpopular. I am the child of an immigrant. And we have a situation right now in California where we have a lot of immigrants that are just staying silent out of fear because they come from countries where that's how you survive. You die if you speak up in some of these countries. My mom's from communist China. You died if you spoke up. Millions of people died. And we're in California now where we really have to look ourselves in the mirror as children of immigrants. And we have to remember the preciousness of this country that is built on people like Charlie who, in the face of tyranny, in the face of lies, in the face of corruption, will speak the truth, knowing that there is a risk in doing so, but knowing that we will not survive as a nation unless we do so. And Maha is that now in the health world because there's corruption and tyranny, and we're speaking up.
Oh, that's such a beautiful answer, Nicole. It's just so impactful. There are two places I want to go, and choose your own adventure. But I guess why don't we start with Maha, and then we'll jump over to California. So can you give me, because again, you and RFK, I just don't think anyone ever planned. I saw all the haters online. It'll never happen. The moment you said that on the podcast, it'll never happen. Give me a break. She didn't know what she's talking about. Okay. You had so much hate from right and left. And then Trump and RFK Jr., they unite on stage. And you go out and you start talking and vision casting for Maha. And everyone's like, Trump's going to betray RFK. He'll never get HHS. Give me a break, right? Are you kidding me? Right? It was all a joke. No, it wasn't. And RFK is actually in there delivering. We track all this data, Nicole. Delivering the #1 most viral moment of any of any of the Senate's confirmation hearings was RFK calling out Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren for their big pharma donations. That was the number one. That was the single most viewed event of any of the confirmation hearings. Was RFK going scorched earth, ripping the mask off, ripping the bark off those two. It's beautiful. And then, of course, there's been a lot of, like, so many successes, it's hard to really enumerate all of them. So there's a long question, but I guess give me your redux on how MAHA has been achieving, how it's been going. You must be very happy.
I can't be happier. I don't know if you heard, but Trump spoke off the cuff. And as you well pointed out earlier, you can't script Donald Trump. Donald Trump feels the moment. He has this killer intuition about the moment and what and bringing forward these things that are controversial. And is it the right time? Is my base with me? And so for him to go off script at that press conference last week and say, I'm just going to talk about vaccines. You all talk about Tylenol. That's good. Well published, well understood by the science. But now's the time to talk about vaccines. And now's the time to show that I, as the president of the most powerful nation in the country, am behind Bobby Kennedy. And this is an unshakable bond. And he cemented that in that moment. And I believe that the base was a little nervous in the first 6 months. They wanted more quickly. The base of MAHA is some of the most well-educated scientists that have been censored for well over a decade, that have been dedicating their entire lives, their livelihoods. They have lost their licenses. They have lost everything. I mean, Jimmy Kimmel's out there whining about being taken off air for a dismal show with terrible ratings. Talk about these doctors. These doctors are still getting fired. They're still getting censored. They are going into horrendous debt to speak the truth. The amount of tyranny in the medical world is through the roof. And for the first time, since the coming together of Bobby and Trump last year, but there was a little dying off of the MAHA movement. People are getting frustrated. Even myself, I was looking around. I was like, we have to address this in the private sector. So that's where I've been the last 6 months, is privately funding research that I was worried that maybe wouldn't make it through this administration. But last week it was kind of like, I could exhale a little bit.
Do you view that as the biggest accomplishment? I know it's like a tough question, but what is like since you were so critical to this movement being formed, what is your favorite accomplishment, if you may?
We're not even a year in, but Trump's tweet where he outlines we're going to separate the MMR into different shots. I've been calling for this for years now, and doctors have been calling for this. And the moms who are in the know, who get their vaccines from Europe or Japan, they're all in the know. I mean, we're behind America because of our corruption in media and our corruption in the healthcare sector and our doctors being corrupted and getting paid off for giving us substandard vaccines. The American people are so far behind, for example, Japan, which has already separated out the MMR. So everything that's being done is, it's past due by probably a generation. And we're just catching up to what the people in the know have already been practicing, which is a safer vaccine schedule. I think that's huge. And this administration, the left is like, this is so radical. It is the most conservative, kind of slow moving rollout of the obvious. But, we're so just happy to see it, because it just gives us faith that there might actually be a path out of this entrenched corruption.
I just wanted to give you a moment to sound off, because obviously you care so much about the welfare of children. You care so much about the future of children in this country. This is where I got white pilled on MAHA. And my wife's obviously a nurse, and she cares about this stuff a lot. But I saw it in real time. My kids went out for ice cream, and they ate this they ate this like neon ice cream, a Cookie Monster, neon, like all this chemical blue and 40.
Yeah, why
50,
does that blue taste better? I don't know.
I mean, it tastes like petroleum to me, but whatever. And my kids went like berserker mode. Like they actually it was like their brain chemistry was changing.
Yeah.
Like they were real, like that stuff really affected them. And we run a pretty clean operation in my household, and all natural. And I'm like thinking about these kids that are like pumped full of these food dyes and these like toxins, and I'm like the move that's been made to everything from taking the additives out of Skittles to like these massive corporations like saying we're not going to be doing this anymore. We're not going to be adding these like food dyes. Something that's already happened around the world, but we are like somehow so behind it. Americans. It meant a lot to me as a parent, man. As somebody who doesn't consider myself an expert on this stuff, but has seen the real world effect on my own children.
Oh, there's a real world effect going on everywhere. There's a frozen tallow French fry company that my fiance, soon to be husband, invested in that's like doing 15x. There's a new mac and cheese, like box mac and cheese company that's going to be using raw dairy. This is really exciting. I mean, we're this is the stuff that matters, is being able to go to your kitchen and grab that box of mac and cheese and know that you're not poisoning your kids. I mean, it's low, this is the obvious standard, but we're coming from such a low standard of excellence in terms of nutrition in the United States that there's so much economic opportunity on the other side of this too. So it's just excitement across the board.
Could you just really quickly vision cast for where you want it to go? Where would you like to see us after 4 years of RFK Jr. as HHS Secretary?
Well, first of all, I just want to thank the Kirk family and Charlie Kirk again, because where I want this to go is I want that energy to be the energy that continues to evolve us as a team. None of this would be possible unless we were working together as a team, because that kind of truth telling and courage allows us to truth tell and be courageous when we're up against these massive roadblocks every single day. These vaccine mandates really is what I think is next, is tackling those. California has broken off from the federal government, wants to start its own California HHS. And there's, I think the majority of Californians are terrified of that. And I'm talking outside of my own circle. I mean, this is, I'm crossing the chasm. It's very easy for me to hear what the other side is saying. And the other side doesn't even like that. There's constitutionalists that are like, this is unconstitutional. What does this even mean? People want freedom. They don't want this medical tyranny, and California is going to have a reckoning that I think we need the team to show up for. I want us to figure out how to win this battle the right way, the sustainable way, the way that really does bring everybody along with us. And that was the legacy of Charlie Kirk, is he wanted to win the right way, and he did, and he showed us what it looks like.
So winning in the right way is something that's fascinating happening in California. So we've taken, let's go from national to where you live in California. I know you're like you love your home state.
I do.
It is the crown jewel of America. It sucks saying that from Florida, because I really like Florida. But like there's the natural gifts of California, the beauty of it. I mean, it really is like the Gold Coast. It is quite the paradise. And it's been just utterly destroyed. And everyone knows this. It's been just decimated. There's been a purge of the voter rolls. There's been some cleaning up from the federal level forced upon California. And there seems to be like potentially like a writing of the tables in the state. Can you give us kind of like an over under on saving California? I know this is a passion project for you.
Yeah. So a few things to note here. Thank you for sharing this poll for governor. Governor's one piece of it. The thing that I'm most excited about, and, I had that failed Karen Bass recall when Rick Caruso came out against it. The whole thing just imploded because we weren't expecting Rick Caruso to come out against the recall. And so there's definitely something going on there. I think Rick Caruso is very deep trying to negotiate something with the Democratic Party right now. So we might see a surprise in the governor poll and, over the next 5 months there. I don't want to call it yet, but I know there's something going on with Rick Caruso and the Democratic Party. So, the recall failed. I had put in quite a bit of money into that. I helped get the team going. And so when that failed, I'm like, okay, well, now what is our next big move here? Because initially it was let's recall, let's get the communists out of LA. There's enough will to do that. And then that's going to snowball into us getting the communists out of the governor's office. And these are self-professed Marxists. And we just have been through this before in the 70s and the 60s. We said the Marxists shall not have the Democratic Party. And that's when the Kennedys came in and saved us from that. So we're kind of in a similar situation right now. And where I'm putting my efforts is on the voter ID initiative. We do know that there's an enormous number of undocumented individuals that are casting votes in our California election. That's a problem, especially when you know that behind that are Mexican cartels that are getting paid and they're kind of working with the California government to ensure this endless amount of migration, undocumented migration. So voter ID is where I'm going to be focused. I think this is going to be a really important one. 70% of Californians want it. We're going to get it on the ballot. There's a signature requirement. Luckily, I know a little bit about that. And I think we're going to be very successful.
Okay. So how many signatures are required to get a voter ID in California?
I think we've got to do about 1 million just to make sure we clear the requirement.
What about us? We were just able to register thousands of young voters at a game this weekend at Penn State. We were able to have thousands and tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands at Turning Point events. We should do like a big event, right? You should bring in Scott Pressler.
Let's do it, Benny. Come on over to California.
Yeah. We should do like a huge event, and we can organize in like a smart area, right? I don't know if it's Huntington Beach or if it's somewhere up north. But organize in a smart area and get signatures. Get a bunch of Californians, bring in Dawn and Eric, and I'll come over and I'll hype it like crazy and do like a massive event. Have Scott Pressler out there registering voters, right? And and bring in and have Steve Hilton and yourself, of course, at headline and keynote, and then we can use that as an opportunity to get signatures, right?
Yeah, most definitely. Let's do it. We're gonna start signature collection, I believe. Within the next 4 or 5 months. But, I'll be posting about it on my X. Okay. Benny, let's talk. Let's make this happen.
Totally. Bring in JD, bring in people who have good, strong connections to California. I was born in California, right? Yeah. So but I hate to see it. I hate to see what's happening. I was raised in Iowa. My parents moved quickly after the Rodney King riots in LA, something that seems to happen every couple of years. LA just burns to the ground. But they were like, we're not gonna raise our kids right in a city with sectarian violence that's on fire, and so they fled. They fled to Iowa. About the opposite of the literal polar opposite of California. But anyway, the point is that every American's heart should be in this beautiful state, this state filled with God's wonders, and we should all want to save California. So that'd be great. I would love
a very large economy, and it's very powerful, and it's very powerful in culture setting. And if you can get Californians to show up and be courageous and speak freely, and not, there's people are concerned about losing their jobs. People are concerned about their kids getting kicked out of schools, and people are desperate. People are and Steve Hilton will tell you this. He's touring the state right now, and he said people are just barely getting by here, just emotionally, spiritually, physically. It's a really tough place right now, and we have to remind people it doesn't have to be that way.
Let's do it. Let's bring in the owner of In-N-Out Burger. Let's hit him right in the heart. In California. Let's do it.
Everybody loves In-N-Out here.
That's right. Let's hit him right in the heart, right? And she's based, okay? She's based.
Very cool.
Let's do that. Don't tell RFK that we'll be bringing in fast food, please. But yeah, totally. We do a big, and we can get the first 100,000 signatures, boom, in one day. We could like scare the daylights out of them.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay,
Amazing.
I'm in.
When is this? So like early 2026.
Yep, early 2026.
Okay,
it's go time.
Great. Plan on it. All right, fantastic. I love doing that. I was going to call you afterwards and like chat with you about this, but let's just do it. Why not do it live on the stream? Yep. Why not do it live on the stream? Okay. Very exciting. Thank you, Nicole. It is so encouraging. It is so encouraging to talk with you. It's so wonderful. I'll leave you with the final word, given the fact that you just brought up change in California. Our friend is Stephen Miller. He's a really decent homie. He's a good guy. He has it in his heart to like just protect his country and protect his children, his beautiful family. And the governor keeps posting, like doing the same thing that they were doing to Charlie, right? And like Stephen Miller even commented, "Why do you think they're posting this? Like he's a fascist. He's a fascist." And they keep tripling and doubling down. Everyone knows what they're doing here, right? What's your comment on this? What's your take?
So there's the Gavin Newsom, and then there's the machine behind Gavin Newsom, and you got to see a little bit of the human Gavin Newsom, what's left of him, when he spoke with Charlie Kirk, and he said, "Yeah, I don't actually think women should, or men should play in women's sports." And the left went insane because the machine does not want Newsom to say these things. So we got to pray for Newsom. We got to pray for what's left of Newsom's soul. Because Newsom, the human being, or what he was or could have been, is not this. This is the machine, and this is a Marxist machine. And at the heart of that Marxist machine is it's a darkness that's discussed in the Bible. It is a biblical kind of darkness, and we got to pray for him to break free of this. Because the last thing Satan wants is for, his imps to break free. But it takes courage to break free. I want to believe in the spirit of his spirit to break free of this. This is BS. This is dangerous. This is evil. And this is a call for the faction to assassinate Stephen Miller. There's no doubt in my mind that's what this is.
Wow.
And this needs to end now.
Wow. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
This is precisely what a household name Democrat who called me this morning, trying to be polite and want to work, do our best, to work to lower the temperature. But this is exactly what they said. We have to stop calling everyone Hitler. Not only is that not only do you reduce the terminology there, right, and the crimes against humanity by calling everything Hitler, everything's Hitler. But you also reduce people to inhuman, and you dehumanize them. And that's exactly what's going on. You're exactly right. Yeah. Well, my producers love Star Wars and say he's more machine than man now. You pulled an Obi-Wan Kenobi quote. It was perfect about Gavin Newsom. This is what Obi-Wan Kenobi said about Darth Vader. Yeah. So you're right. Although we don't liken Gavin Newsom to Darth Vader. We liken him to a Batman villain. I think he looks he feels a lot more like a Batman villain. Thank you, Nicole. Again.
Thank you, Benny.
It is so encouraging to talk with you. Everybody follow Nicole. Everybody follow Nicole here, and you'll be able to catch us on stage in the biggest political rally California has ever seen.
Let's do it.
And we will launching in 2026. We're gonna go save California. And Godspeed. It's going to be exciting to work with you, Nicole.
Thanks, Benny. Can't wait. Thanks for having me.
Well, there we go. My team putting up the Gavin Newsom continues to post this about Stephen Miller. It's you're a fascist. You're a fascist. You're a fascist. This is how it. This is how it happens. What is this? Team just sent me something. A police car burst into flames near the White House. President Trump prepares for a meeting with Benjamin Netanyahu. Who's lighting police cars on fire in downtown D.C.? I know this block. Look at that. This is right on the 1700 block of Pennsylvania. This is right next to the White House. How's a police car on fire next to the White House? What the hell is going on? We're going to stay up. We're going to stay up with you and make sure that you are locked in. We're going to make sure the kids are locked in. We're going to keep, there's a lot of energy out right now, and we're going to make sure that we capture that energy. We're going to make sure that we use it for good. Now we're taking it and we're grabbing it. We're going to do Ariokin, okay? It's going to be Street Fighter level energy. We're thankful for you. We're humbled by God's grace. And we appreciate so very much you being here to support us as we build new, and we want to make you guys proud. We want to build new things. We cannot be stuck or in a fetal position or crying or bitter. We have to go then build new things and go 50 times harder. And that is exactly what Charlie always taught me. So, like, that's how you honor him. The way to dishonor Charlie would be for me to curl up in a fetal position in a ball and cry myself to sleep every night and run away like a scared little biatch. That is the opposite of Charlie. And so, nope, we're not going to dishonor him. We're going to keep going. And we just thank you. We just thank all of you for like being there with us as we go out and build. And we will wait and watch for God's wonders, right? We're just starting to see God's wonders. And it'll be exciting. We'll lock in with our verse of the day, 1 Peter 3:15. Verse of the day. In your hearts, revere Christ as Lord. Always be prepared to give an answer to everyone who asks you to give it a reason for the hope that you have. Do it with gentleness and respect. Exactly right. This is precisely correct. We are the nonviolent side. We are the side that can convince you with truth and light. We are the side that speaks boldly and always has. And Christ is King, ladies and gentlemen. And that's all we need, right? That's why we know we will have the victory. And it's my great honor to march with you onto that victory. Remember, in the end, we win. It's your boy, Benny. See ya.
truth gon' be faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to light. From the speeches to debates, Benny sharp like a blade, cutting through the lies, watch the truth cascade. With the warrior's heart, this man never fades. You know it's prime time when Benny invades. From saving the nation to stories untold, the Benny Show's a storm, see the truth unfold. Stay in the loop, let freedom take hold. Salting all the libs, soul never sold. It's the Benny Show, where the truth gon' be. Faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to light. Liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. From the speeches to debates, Benny sharp like a blade, cutting through the lies, watch the truth cascade. With the warrior's heart, this man never fades. You know it's prime time when Benny invades. From saving the nation to stories untold, the Benny Show's a storm, see the truth unfold. Stay in the loop, let freedom take hold. Salting all the libs, soul never sold. It's the Benny Show, where the truth gon' be. Faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light.